The scent of Sterling Prep is something you never forget. A cloying mixture of expensive sandalwood, floor wax, and the smell of ancient, untouchable money. As I stepped off the public bus 2 blocks away, smoothing out my moth-eaten navy sweater, I felt like a flaw in an otherwise perfect high-definition image. I was Maya, the full-ride freak from a trailer park 3 towns over, and I was currently walking into a lion's den wearing shoes I'd found in a thrift store bin for $5. My situation was precarious, to say the least. Back home, my father had spent my college fund on my brother's 3rd DUI lawyer. When I refused to drop out of high school to work double shifts at the local textile mill to pay off the rest of the debt, he had thrown my suitcase into the mud and told me I was no longer a daughter, but a liability. I was 17, homeless, and running on nothing but adrenaline and spite. I walked through the arched stone gates, my head down, bracing for the inevitable sneers. I expected them to see the frayed hem of my skirt and the scuffed toes of my boots. But as I passed a group of girls draped in Dior, the strangest thing happened. They stopped talking. Their eyes raked over my oversized, pilled sweater and the way my thrifted bag hung limply from my shoulder. "Is that unreleased?" one girl whispered, her eyes wide. "It has to be," another replied, clutching her Birkin. "Look at the intentional distressing on the collar. It's so derelict chic. It's probably that new underground Belgian designer." I didn't correct them. In the world of the hyper-rich, if you look miserable enough, they assume it's a fashion choice. I realized then that my poverty was a camouflage. To them, I wasn't poor. I was aesthetic. By the end of the first week, I found my niche. These kids were brilliant at spending money, but completely clueless when it came to real work. I started the ghostwriter. It began with a simple AP history essay for a boy who was too hungover to think. I charged him $100. By Friday, I had 5 clients. I wasn't just doing their homework, I was crafting their entire Ivy League personas. I became the cleaning girl who stayed late in the library, scrubbed the stains off their reputations, and organized their digital lives. I lived in a literal storage unit in the basement of the gym, sleeping on a yoga mat, but my bank account was starting to hum with quiet power. I was a ghost in the halls of Greenwich, invisible but essential. The pressure began to mount just as the autumn leaves turned the color of old gold. Pretending to be a minimalist artist was a full-time job. I had to be careful. One wrong move, one hint of cheap detergent instead of French perfume, and the illusion would shatter. I was managing 12 ghost accounts now, writing essays that sounded exactly like the privileged, slightly bored teenagers who paid me. But the real world has a way of clawing at your ankles just as you start to climb. One Tuesday afternoon, the peaceful hum of Sterling Prep was shattered by the sound of a rusted Ford F-150 screeching to a halt at the main gate. I froze. I knew that engine knock. My father climbed out, his face a map of broken veins and misplaced rage. He began screaming my name, calling me an elitist traitor who thought she was too good for her own blood. He wanted me back at the mill. He had promised the local debt collector that I'd be available to work off the family's interest. It was a humiliating spectacle. The students gathered at the windows, their polished faces pressed against the glass. "Maya," he roared, shaking the iron bars of the gate. "Get your pampered hideout here. You're coming home to pay what you owe." I felt the eyes of the school on me. This was it. The derelict chic lie was over. But before I could move, a shadow fell over me. It was Chloe, the undisputed queen bee of Sterling Prep. Her father owned half of Manhattan, and her mother was a literal princess. She looked at my father with the same expression one might use to look at a squashed bug on a windshield. "Maya," she said, her voice like silk over gravel. "Is that yours?" I couldn't lie, not now. "He's my father. He wants me to drop out." Chloe didn't look disgusted. She looked calculating. She had discovered my ghostwriter business a few days prior when she caught me logged into 3 different student portals at once. Instead of reporting me, she had sat down and asked for a quote on her SAT prep. "He's a liability to the brand," Chloe remarked, watching my father struggle with a security guard. "And if you leave, who's going to make sure my Common App essay doesn't sound like a ChatGPT hallucination? I need you to stay, Maya. My future depends on getting into Columbia, and my brain is currently occupied with the spring gala." She stepped forward and signaled the head of security. Within seconds, my father was being trespassed with a clinical efficiency that only millions of dollars can buy. But the cost was high. I was no longer a ghost. I was Chloe's property. I was still living in that basement, still skipping meals to save every cent, but now I was a soldier in a war I didn't yet understand. The Sterling Winter Gala was the social event of the decade, a masquerade held in a ballroom that looked like it was carved from solid ice. I was there not as a guest, but as a student volunteer, which was Chloe speak for personal assistant. I spent the night adjusting masks and whispering talking points into the ears of boys who couldn't remember the names of their own charities. The air was thick with the scent of lilies and arrogance. But amidst the glitter, I saw a familiar, shuffling gait. My brother, Jax, had managed to slip past the caterers. He was wearing a stolen tuxedo that was 2 sizes too big, his eyes darting around the room with a frantic, greedy light. He didn't see me, but I saw him follow Chloe's boyfriend, a boy with more money than sense, into the coach room. 10 minutes later, the music stopped. Chloe's boyfriend emerged, frantic. His $50,000 Patek Philippe, a graduation gift from his grandfather, was gone. The room went silent. Then, the betrayal came. My brother didn't just steal the watch, he had planned to sink me with him. As the security guards began to lock down the doors, Jack stepped out from behind a curtain, pointing a finger directly at me. "She took it," he shouted, his voice cracking. "I saw her. She's been bragging about how she's going to rob you all blind. Check her locker in the gym. She's got a video on her phone of her eating your scraps like a dog." He pulled out his phone and projected a video to the nearest smart screen. It was a grainy clip he'd taken through a window weeks ago, me, sitting on the floor of the cafeteria after hours, eating the expensive leftovers the rich kids had left behind. The room erupted in gasps. The derelict chic genius was revealed to be a scavenger. My family had intended to cancel me, to humiliate me so thoroughly that I would have nowhere to go but back to the trailer park. I stood there, exposed, the cleaning girl in a room of princes. But Chloe stepped into the center of the circle. She looked at the video, then at my brother, and finally at me. "You really think we care that she's poor?" Chloe asked, her voice amplified by the silence. "Some of us knew she was poor. We're rich, Jack's not blind, but Maya is an asset. She's the smartest person in this room, which is why she's been running all your lives for the last 6 months." She turned to the security guards. "Maya didn't take the watch, she was with me. But that man," she pointed at Jax, "has a criminal record in 3 counties. Check his pockets." They found the watch in Jax's silk-lined pocket. As he was being dragged out, Chloe leaned into my ear. "Your family is a liability, Maya. My father's lawyers can make them disappear into a web of lawsuits and restraining orders that will take them a lifetime to untangle. Or you can go back to them. What's it going to be?" I looked at the ice blue eyes of the girl who had just saved me for her own selfish reasons. "Make them disappear," I whispered. 7 years later, the air in Manhattan felt different, sharper, cleaner. I wasn't the girl in the pilled sweater anymore. I was Maya Vance, the lead strategic analyst for Sterling Global. I had graduated top of my class at Yale, my tuition paid for by the ghostwriting empire I had expanded during my college years. I had learned the most valuable lesson Greenwich could teach. Truth is a commodity and loyalty is an investment. I was sitting in my corner office, overlooking the gray pulse of the city when my assistant buzzed through. "There are 3 people in the lobby, Miss Vance. They claim to be family. They're being quite vocal." I stood up, smoothing my bespoke charcoal suit. I didn't feel the old cold dread. I felt nothing but a quiet, clinical curiosity. I walked down to the lobby and saw them. My father looking smaller and grayer, my mother clutching a tattered floral purse, and Jax, who looked like he hadn't held a job in a decade. "Maya," my mother cried, reaching out with a hand that smelled of cheap tobacco. "Look at you. We saw you on the cover of that business magazine. We knew you'd make it. We're here to collect, honey. Family stays together, right? We need a place in the city. Jax has some debts." They looked at me with hungry eyes, expecting the old Maya, the one who would cry or cower. I didn't do either. I pulled a thick folder from under my arm and laid it on the marble reception desk. "This is a record of every cent you stole from my college fund," I said, my voice steady. "It's also a record of the legal emancipation papers I filed when I was 17. And here," I tapped a thumb drive, is a collection of every illegal labor violation and tax evasion Jax has committed in the last 5 years. I've been watching. I've been ghostwriting your downfall since the night of the Winter Gala. My father's face turned a dangerous shade of purple. You ungrateful little. I learned from the best, I interrupted. I learned that in this world, you are either an asset or a liability, and you three, you're a massive deficit. I signaled to the security team, the same firm Chloe's father had used years ago. Escort them out. If they come within a mile of this building or my home, file the injunctions immediately. As they were dragged toward the glass revolving doors, screaming about blood and betrayal, the elevator chimed. Chloe stepped out, looking radiant in emerald silk. She was the CEO now, and I was her right hand. We weren't friends in the way normal people are. We were a partnership forged in the fires of mutual ambition. Was that the baggage? She asked, glancing at the doors. Just a minor audit, I replied, handing her the morning's merger report. The books are clean. We walked toward the boardroom together. I had arrived at Sterling Prep as a ghost, a scavenger in the ruins of my own life. But I hadn't just survived the elite world. I had rewritten it. As I took my seat at the head of the table, I realized I was no longer hiding in the basement. I was the one who owned the building. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video.